coffee in hand, and we're headed to the studio. Don't look at my messy house, y'all. Okay, I had an idea. I don't know if it's going to work, but that's what we're going to do with this vlog. We're going to go through it together and see if it works out. I told you I'd do the yo-yo demos. I'm going to do that. This is related. Give me 5 minutes to clean up and turn all my lights on. I'll be right back. Okay, good morning. Welcome to Vlogmas Day 3. Is it 3? It's 3. I've lost track already, guys. It's going to be a long month. So, yesterday I promised you yo-yos because I spoke about this yo-yo Garland, this one is very old-fashioned, and like everything in my life, has a little dog hair on it. It's very old-fashioned. It's made from fabrics, from scraps from the 1990s. And look, on the back, they're just whip-stitched together. I held them like this, stitched them together, tied it off, pulled it to the front, good to go. And I've got miles and miles and miles of it. Well, I've got 2 of them. So, and I did that until I got sick of doing it. And you can do it in any fabric. So if you want it red and green, if you want it pink and lime, whatever, that's the beauty of it. If you want it with all your contemporary scraps, works beautifully. And I'll show you how to make a yo-yo in just a minute. I'll use the little doolollies, little tools, and I'll show you how to do it just the old-fashioned way. But last night, I had an idea. And I don't know if it's going to work, but I had a thought. And so we're going to work it out together here today after I demo how to make the yo-yos. I went ahead and made a bunch of little blue and green yo-yos. And I have these red wooden beads that I have for another project, but they'll work for this as well. I'll show you on the overhead camera everything as we do it. And I have ideas brewing, guys. Hi, I'm Amy and I make things and I get overexcited. Today I'm making yo-yos and another yo-yo garland that features these little red beads. I'm excited to get started, so let's switch to the overhead and show you what we're working with. Yo-yos are a very old-fashioned sewn item. And when I was a kid in the 70s, people made them out of double knit polyester and then you strung them together, like stacked on top of one another, and made like little floppy doll toys and things like that to sell at holiday markets. I remember having one of those little rag doll toys at some point. And they've been coverlets and bed covers. You see them often in like Depression era 1930s fabrics. I love them. I think they are nostalgic and sweet. And it's a nice meditative hand sewing project. And you can absolutely use your fabric, trace, and cut a circle around anything, circular, whatever you've got. And that's traditionally how it was done. You could buy a fancy circle ruler if you want them all exactly the same size and need your plate back in your, put that aside for a moment. Put your plate back in your cabinet. But Clover, years ago, came up with these little guys. I don't know how I ended up with 2 sets, and they have shapes as well. I don't know how I ended up with 2 sets, but well, this one has Anna's name on it, so that's probably it. And they come all the way down to itty bitty bitty, but these are not for me. These are not for me. These are not even really for me. This is let's see, it's marked on the back, I think. Anyway, 45 millimeter. This is the 45 millimeter. It makes and so here's the piece that, I don't know if I can get it to show on camera. There we go. Here's the circle and the way you work with it. And this inner circle right here, this ridge, hear that? This ridge in the plastic is the approximate finished size of the yo-yo. See, same on this one. This is the 60 millimeter, the 45 millimeter, etc., etc. They also come in a gigante size, giant. So it finishes about 3 inches. And I used these. A lot of you see the yo-yo, you can see it now, right here, the yo-yo wall hanging behind me. Many people have asked about that. I used this one, and then I used like an 8-inch cardboard, just poster board template for those, to stack them in ascending, descending, depending on how you think about it, orders. The one we're going to use today is the yellow, which I guess is the 60 millimeter, because it will use a pre-cut charm square. Now, it is a tight fit on a pre-cut charm square. So what you do is you take this out, and there are these little lines right here, raised, and then there are little bumps. Let me put something dark under there. There you can see. Little bumps on the edge here, okay? The little lines line up with the little bumps, and it clicks in place, okay? Easy. Put your right side down, all right? Now you're going to take, and this is going to take a little bit of work with the 5-inch square, because see, it's a tight fit. All right, so if I go out of frame, forgive me, because I'm working in the air here. All right. So you just sort of, you don't need a whole lot. Oh, I was going to say, the beauty of these little tools is it gives you it automatically turns your edge under. You snap it in, and you've got to just line up the little line and the little dot. And you just sort of, look, you want to make sure that you have enough fabric. You just tug it, get in there and tug it a little bit, that it's going to come over the edge like this, okay? All the way around. You take your scissors, and you cut off these corners. Not too close. You don't want to cut like all the way against the frame, because then you don't have enough turn under. Okay, now I'm going to thread my needle with this dark gray thread so that you guys can hopefully see it better. You need a nice long length of thread, which normally I do not advocate for, but you do for this, because I double it. You don't have to, but I do. I am using a DMC number 5 embroidery needle, because that is what I need for the next project, and because I can see this one to thread it. So I'm going to thread that needle. Don't watch, make me nervous. Okay. Thread my needle, and then I'm going to go ahead and pull both ends of my thread together and just knot it. Quilter's knot. And see, I've got a nice long length of thread. The reason for that will be clear in a moment. And you guys know the quilter's knot, right? Where you take and you lay your thread alongside your needle, and you wrap it a couple of times, and you hold that knot and pull your needle and run that knot all the way to the end of the thread. And then you have a little knot on the end of your thread. Let's see if you can see. Little knot on the end of your thread. Easy. I will trim the end of that. You don't have to. It's going to be on the inside. On the back, there are these little notches. And on the corresponding piece, there are little divots, like a gear. And this is why you have to line up the lines with the dots, because then those little holes line up, okay? And the trick is you want to go down and up where your thread is running in the little dash. You don't want to come across here, because then you have sewn your yo-yo to your yo-yo maker. Not ideal. And of course the instructions are on the package, and Clover probably has a better demo than this, but I'm just going to show you what I do, because that's what I do. So I'm going to pull this down. I'm going to thread. I'm going to find the hole, right? Find the hole, and I'm going to pull that through, and then I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to go in the slot. All right, so I've come across, but I'm holding my fabric down so that I make sure I come through on this side through the seam with it folded down. And it's a little tangly, a little beeswax helps right here, or that thread conditioner. Now, what I usually do is, these are in like sections of 3, and I will usually go through 3 of them, making sure I pull my fabric down so that I catch both layers. And then I pull all 3, and then I pull it. So then I'll do the next 3, and I will just move around the circle in that manner. 1, down, and up. And I have, on occasion, gotten out of sync and sewn my yo-yo to the yo-yo maker. It is not the end of the world. You just cut your thread and start again. It does want to knot. You can use whatever thread you have. This is a great use for all that older polyester thread that you might have. I am using this today, which is, I think, essential thread from Connecting Threads. I use Orfil a lot. I use whatever I have, right? It doesn't matter. Cotton, poly, doesn't matter. Like I say, if you have leftover polyester thread that you have an aversion to putting in your quilts for some reason, this is a great use for that because it's really strong and you're going to pull on it in a minute, which is why I use a double length of thread. Now, you don't have to, but for security sake and my peace of mind, I do. It just makes it easier. And see, I'm just going in and out, and I don't know if you can see my thumb, but I will push this down and make sure that fabric is flat against the base each time I do it. Now, when you get to the end, see, I'm back to my knot that I started at. To keep from having a space in that gap right there, when you draw it up, you're going to go through this first notch and back. Make sure you don't pierce your knot though, because then it won't slide. And back up. So you're going to go overlap by 1 little stitch. Then the fun. You pop this out. And like I say, the color of your thread won't matter because it's all going to be on the inside. And now it looks like this. Then you take it off of here. And you grab your thread. And the magic happens. And you just pull it. And gather it. And pull it and pull it and pull it. Then when you get to the end, you just have to sort of give it a little zhuzh. All right, so now what you do to tie it off, I'm going to pull that pretty tight. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend this backward. And you see my knot right here? I'm going to go back and I'm just going to knot my fabric off. Let's see. So I'm going to draw it up and go through the loop and make a nice tight knot. And I'm going to do that 2, maybe 3 times, definitely twice. Same deal, grab your loop, just like you're tying off a button or what have you. Then I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to run it through one of these little pleats and out the side like that. And pull, give it a nice tug so all that knot gets down in the gathers. Then I'm going to take my scissors, pull the fabric back just a little bit, and trim it so that when I fluff it up, I've got a nice long tail, but it's on the inside. And it's that easy. I mean, I know it looks like it took forever, but once you get going, it doesn't take but a minute. See? Easy. Looks like this. You can use either side. And then, to stitch them together, I just whip stitched them together for this garland. To make a yo-yo in the traditional manner, it is even easier. You need your same needle and thread. Now I have here, I'm using a sandpaper board because it grips my fabric so that when I trace a circle, it won't slide. So now, I mean, I could use this guy and just trim. Easy. But I'm going to show you this way. And this is my circle. If, you know, you have a plate, if you have a coffee can lid, whatever circle you want, whatever size circle you want, find something that is that size and use it. I am going to use my white ceramic pencil and I'm just going to draw around my circle. All right. I do have an AccuQuill. I could cut circles on the AccuQuill, and if you have one, use it. I didn't feel like setting it up today, so this is what we're doing, and this is what I did as a kid. I traced this on a cereal box. And see, that sandpaper board really just helps the fabric not slip around. Okay, so now, ooh, I can't stand it. So I'll get that out of the way. Now you just trim out your circle. You don't need to see me. And it doesn't have to be super like neat and precise. You just trim your circle. Because these are all going to be a little organic, close enough. It's kind of a primitive look. Maybe not with this fabric, but that's part of its charm, is the imprecise nature of it. I've got my thread and needle, and now what I'm going to do is I am just going to, by hand, turn under approximately 1/4 of an inch. And I'm going to gather. And I'm just going to do it as I go. You don't have to pre-press. You don't have to starch. You don't have to, none of that. And you don't have to measure. You don't have to draw another circle on it so that you fold it on the right line. None of that matters. And the thing about doing these by hand, cut out like this, going to be a little less precise, but that's okay. But you're also going to make more efficient use of your thread. Because on the yo-yo maker, on this little guy, you have to have enough thread to go ahead and get all the way around it. So, you know, this way you can gather it as you go, make more efficient use of your thread. You just gather this all the way around. Just a running stitch. So now I'm back to the end. I'm going to do the same thing I did on the other one. I'm going to go past that knot. Okay, I'm going to go past that by 1 stitch. And that's how it looks. And you do the same thing. You just gather it. Gather it, gather it. The same thing, I'm going to turn that inside little notch right out. Make a couple of knots. Exit through this little fold over here. Got my thread. Give it a little fluff. There you go. See? There you go. Easy. It is so easy, and they're fast. And so you have this size. You have this size. Yo-yos. They're so easy. Okay? Now, my idea. My idea with the yo-yos and the beads is this. Okay? Does that make sense? I want to put the yo-yos with the beads in between. But the thing is, I don't want them to like all squish up on the string. So I think if I just do a little back stitch at each of these edges, that it will hold it in place and I won't have the sliding issue. And they can still be outward facing. So let me set up and I'll show you. I have my beads and I have my blue and green yo-yos. And I'm going to take and, you know, this is a 12 weight Orfil thread. And I think I will double it. So I'm just going to get the length of this and thread my needle. Like I said, this is why I got this larger, you guys can't see. There we go. Larger eye needle. It's an embroidery needle. So that I can thread it, because I don't want to use twine. I don't want to have to manhandle it through the yo-yo. Sometimes if you use really thick thread, it doesn't want to go through the yo-yo. So we're going to see if this works. I think it could be really cute, and I think you could do them for all occasions with all different size yo-yos. I'm going to start with green. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pierce the side edge of my yo-yo. I'm going to go all the way across. Here, I'll show you on the back because it's easier. I'm going to go all the way across. Trying not to, you might have to fluff it up. There we go. All right, I'm going to go all the way across and have a knot Yeah, that's going to go through easy. I have a knot on this end of my thread, so it's going to stop. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take just a little stitch through all the layers right there. Just a little stop stitch. And that should, yes, that should work. Thread a bead. Grab a blue yo-yo. How about this one? Oh, there's a wrinkle in my plan. Okay, well, we'll see if it works. See, I can't take a stop stitch on both sides because it won't pull through. But maybe if I just take a stop stitch on one side, on that exit side of each of them, maybe that'll be enough. Let's see. All right. Editing Amy here, and I just realized that I could have sewn a loop and stay stitch at either side of the yo-yos. I just would have had to loop it all the way back through. It would have worked fine. It just took me a minute to process through. Well, it took me more than a minute, guys. It took me a minute to process through how it would work, but I can do it, and so I may give that a go. And anyway, thanks for working through the project with me. I appreciate it. Go across the approximate center with my thread. Line him up. So now I've lined it up and I've got it now. I'm working on the table, so I know it's hard to see. I've got it nice and flat. I don't want to squish it up. You know, I don't want this to... That's what I'm trying to avoid, avoid that. And then I'm just going to take a little stop stitch in this one. Just that same little, just a back stitch. Not a knot. I'm not going to go through that circle again. I think just that circle will get it. Yeah, that's going to get it. All right, I'm going to do more of these and see. I'll show you how it turns out. It's working out beautifully. Now, to start a new thread, a new strand, and what I'll do here on this end is I'll just tie a knot to tie this thread off. And to start a new string to continue going, a new thread, since I'm getting close to the end, I'm just going to do the same thing. I'll take my knot right here and it'll get covered up by the bead and keep going. I finished my little sample. Look how cute it is, guys. I'll put some better footage in here in a minute. All right, look how cute it is. All right, and well, you can turn them all the same way if you want, but they're gonna flip and flop and have some movement. Cute with the little beads in between. I love it. I love it. Now, I mean, it probably needs a little work on the concept, but overall, I think it's adorable. And you could do it with all different kinds of yo-yos. You could do it with multicolor beads. If you have any of those felted wool beads, you could put those in between. Those would be adorable. The possibilities are endless. You could use all different colors. And if you don't like yo-yos, if you aren't interested in making yo-yos at all or garland at all, that's fine. Don't make it. But I had this idea, and that's what this whole vlogging thing is about. It's about working through ideas and showing you what I'm working on real time, every day. That's what Vlogmas is all about for me. Now I am going to clean up my mess. I did not get to the long arm yesterday. So I'm going to try and do that today. See if I can convince my kid to load a quilt for me if he has time before school. That's what I'm working on. What are you working on today? I do know I have to sew several more zipper pouches for my Quilt Bee exchange, and I'm excited to get those finished. Guys, they take about 15 minutes to finish total, from fusing the fabric to completely finished. And if you're batch sewing them, they're so easy. They're so fast. What else am I going to do today? I don't know. Oh, I have book club tonight, so I have to put... While I sew, I have to put my book in my ears and finish it. Reading a book called Indian Givers. It's narrative nonfiction. And oh, I'll record some footage tonight because I think we're going to stop by the pecan shop and get some coffee on the way. And I'm really excited about that. I'll show you Mrs. Pearl again. We'll revisit the pecan shop. And I'm just going to, where I go, you go. Later this week, I'm going to deliver a quilt, that quilt I talked about that I'm hand binding for my friend Lori. I'm going to deliver it to her and take a quilt for the long arm and hopefully get some footage of how that all goes down. It is quite the process with her automated long arm. It's very cool. So share some of that if she's amenable to it. She may not be up for it, and that is fine. So where I go, you go. We're doing this thing together. I hope that you enjoyed the little yo-yo demonstration and seeing how that works. Even if you're not interested in yo-yos, the more tools we have in our toolbox, the better we all are. And when I say that, I don't mean like the actual little tool. I mean the knowledge, our toolbox of knowledge. So I'm going to get to work on the rest of the day. I'm going to finish that book for book club and finish those zipper pouches and see what else I can get done. I'll maybe film some footage of that for the next couple of days. But I think that's a wrap for this morning. I'm gonna refill this coffee. I'm gonna reheat that coffee. So, YouTube thinks you're gonna like this playlist right here. I think you'll like it too. I hope you do. Mostly, I hope you never forget that you make the world more beautiful just by being in it. I'm Amy, and I'll see you tomorrow.